And did I mention it's live?
Okay, we broadcast live from the west side.
Hey, what up, y'all? I'm not gonna be up here long. I just wanted to talk something real quick. Um, we're getting ready to kick off NBA free agency here real soon. Um, and for a lot of people, you talk about free agent deals, big money for Kevin Durant, LeBron James, DeMar DeRozan, so on and so forth. But one thing that I want to talk about that nobody's really looked at with the new TV deal for the NBA is how it affects the NBA's developmental league. Um, with the new TV deal, for those who don't know, the NBA signed a $24 billion deal that runs through the year 2025, 24, 25, I think. I got to go back and fact check that. Um, but over the course of this deal, they're going to be showing more NBA games or professional basketball year round. Um, they're going to have games uh, Wednesday through Sunday on major networks. NBA TV will have games on Monday and Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So you literally get 7 days of basketball every day of the week during the season. But they're also going to be televising summer league games, which I'm really excited about because I love the NBA summer league. I've been watching the summer league since I think Jonathan Bender was playing in it, um, like '99, I think that was. So I've been watching it for a long time. But they're also going to be uh, really for the first time that I can think of, easily at least, televising NBA D League games. And one of the things that me and a couple of guys in the group have talked about a lot with the D League is the product. There's not a lot of really good players in the D League right now. So as it stands right now, if you really wanted to watch the game, there's not a lot worth watching. The pace is really quick. People take terrible shots. I think we talked about that on the show, one of the first couple episodes. It's not a product that a lot of people want to watch. Part of the reason for that is guys make 32 grand a year playing in the D League if they're not already under an NBA contract. So while the NBA's salary cap is going up, the thing that I'm really curious to see is what they do with D League salaries. If Kevin Durant can make $30 million starting this season, there's no reason that D League players making $30,000. So I'm really interested in seeing how D League salaries are affected by um, the TV deal for the NBA. I'm really interested to see if they find a way to make it competitive. This will be the time you really get to see how much the NBA cares about the product in the D League, how much they really care about developing talent, how much they care about finding guys who have a chance to make a difference in the NBA beyond more than 1 or 2 years. I looked at, the list of call ups from the last, I think, 8 years. I think I went back, and not a lot of guys, a very small percentage of guys that get called up end up being on that same team just the next year. Not even, 2 or 3 or 4 years down the road. Just the percentage of guys who are on that same team the next year is very low. So right now, even the guys getting called up from the D League aren't difference makers. They're not guys that are hard to replace. And part of the reason for that is the talent level is really low. Anybody who can make money in the D League is making money in Europe or nowadays in China because guys are getting paid a lot more money. So if they get to a point where they really care about the talent the D League is producing, they'll put money into it to keep, especially American players, here. I think that some of the guys that are in the D League that are American are in situations where they don't feel like they can leave the country to go make money, so they have to stay local, or whatever the case may be. But so many of the really talented guys are going to Europe. So I think that really, in order to try to keep guys here, the D League needs to pay guys upwards of, 100 to $150,000. Still something lower than the NBA's minimum. Um, just I guess to encourage guys to keep trying to make it to the NBA, even though that shouldn't be a problem. But enough money where these guys can survive. Um, Also, they have to change, bus travel, hotel arrangements, things like that, because they've got it really tough in the D League as opposed to in the NBA. Obviously, being in the NBA is supposed to be better, but not so different as it is right now. But if you get to a point where you start seeing D League players making 130, 150, $180,000, you'll start to see better guys in the D League. And when the guys get better, the level of play gets better. And once the level of play gets better, it's more worth watching. Right now, like this year coming up, you'll have D League games on TV, but I don't think anybody's going to watch them. I definitely wouldn't. And I'm a huge basketball fan. I love basketball, but I wouldn't watch the D League just to be able to say I'm watching basketball. I'd rather play NBA 2K or something like that. But it'll be really interesting. I did a little bit of research. I looked around. I didn't see anything online about how the D League salaries is affected. It's probably not something many people are researching anyway. It may not be something we find out about until the D League season starts next year. But I'm really interested to see if they do find a way to increase those salaries, keep American-born players in America playing in the D League as opposed to going overseas, going to China, playing in the ABA or semi-pro ball and stuff like that. Being in situations where they can make a living playing the D League, but also still trying to get to the NBA. I think that the biggest goal for all these guys is to get to the NBA, and the D League was supposed to be an outlet for NBA talent. And right now, that's just not something you're really seeing. So if they increase the salaries and get guys in the D League that actually have a chance of making and sticking in a league, I think that'd be really exciting. There have been guys over the last couple of years who you look at as NBA talent that went overseas, went to China. Jordan Crawford was in China last year and averaged, I think, 35 points a game or something like that. Marshawn Brooks was a guy that I really liked when he was in the NBA. Terrence Williams, all of these guys are playing overseas and really produced when given opportunities in the NBA. But they couldn't even, afford to stay in the D League where they can keep showing whatever it is that they needed to show. Marshawn Brooks, obviously, he had problems with his defense. Same things with Terrence Williams. Actually, Jordan Crawford was the same way. Neither one of those guys played defense. But if those guys could show they still had the offensive ability that they had when they were in the NBA, Josh Selby is another one. But find a way to do that in America where scouts and talent evaluators could still see them and have tape that they could break down real time and show them what they could do on defense. Those guys will be back in the league, I feel like, in no time. I think, Terrence Williams is a little bit past his prime at this point. He's been gone for a long time. I don't know how many teams will really be looking at him, but, Josh Selby, Jordan Crawford, and Marshawn Brooks, the guys I named, they're still relatively young. All those guys are still in their earlier mid-20s. If they could figure out how to play defense, especially in the league right now where you need shooters and all those guys can shoot, if they could at least show that they can play some defense in a situation similar to the NBA, they'd be back in NBA rosters in no time. I don't know what the talent level is, the competition level is in China, but the reality is nobody does. Until you get guys over here or more guys over here that really have played over there and succeeded, you're not going to know. There's so many guys that come from China that, grew up over there, Chinese players that come over here and have their flaws. It's hard for you to evaluate a guy going over there, especially when you got a guy like Jordan Crawford putting up unreal numbers on a nightly basis. It makes it harder to evaluate. If you got a guy like Jordan Crawford playing for the Rio Grande Valley Vipers or something like that, and he's averaging 25 points and 3 steals, something like that, you really get to see, all right, this guy's making progress. The numbers playing in Chinese league, the numbers playing over in Lithuania, stuff like that really doesn't tell you anything. It's really hard for you to evaluate that and try to figure out, how that guy is playing. Whereas if you got a guy playing in the NBA D League, you get to actually sit there and look at his film nightly and figure it out, see what kind of basketball they're playing, talk to coaching staff. You have access to these guys that are working with them, the training staff, the coaches who all speak your language, who all are willing to help. Even though, some of them necessarily wouldn't want to lose their best players, they're still all along the same program. We have to find a way to keep the NBA level talent stateside. And this TV deal is a great opportunity to do that, to increase the talent level in the D League. And I think that, like I said earlier, if the NBA is really committed to getting talent in the D League, the next 3 years will be the time where you really start to see that. One thing I didn't mention, with Thon Maker's situation, you'll start to see, I think, more and more kids foregoing college. And if the D League money is anywhere comparable to overseas money, that'd be another situation, another place for those players to go. Anytime you've got a high school kid who's just trying to make money, if he can not go overseas as an 18-year-old, stick with a D League team close to where he grew up and have a chance to get drafted out of there, that'd be ideal. I think the reason you haven't seen more than 2 or 3 guys, Mike Taylor, Latavius Williams, the guys came off the top of my head, go from high school to the D League is just there's no money in it. The guys that are doing it have no other choice, just like, the rest of the American players I was talking about that are down there. A guy like Brandon Jennings, Jeremy Tyler, those guys can go make big money playing in China, playing in Italy. So why not? We have to be able to offer something competitive and comparable to what those guys can make overseas, with the added bonus of still being in America, having NBA scouts getting to come to your games on a regular basis, especially for a guy like Jeremy Tyler if you want to stay local for 2 years since he dropped out of high school. I'm really looking forward to seeing what that happens, though. The NBA D League is in a really exciting position right now, a chance to really make some serious changes and do good not only for itself but for the NBA, and I think for college, because I think getting rid of some of the one and dones would make college basketball more interesting. It wouldn't have the same teams in the top 5 every year. That's all I've got. Let me know your thoughts. As always, follow us on Twitter. Keep checking us in with us on Facebook here. Follow me on Twitter if you want, A-Flash79. That's all I got. I'll catch y'all later.
Okay, we broadcast live from the west side.